blockaded our ports, burned our towns, and spilled our blood. And still this Congress refused to grant any of my proposals on independence, even so much as the courtesy of open debate. I asked my dear friend Dr. Franklin what in the hell they were waiting for. You see, with one hand, Congress can raise an army, dispatch one of their own, General Washington, to lead it, and cheer the news from Bunker's Hill. And with the other hand, they wave the olive branch, begging the king for a happy and permanent reconciliation. It's been more than a year since Concord and Lexington. Fat George had declared us in rebellion. When in the bloody hell would Congress? Well, the answer to that question hung in the balance on July the 2nd, 1776, when, after days of debate on its content and language, the Declaration of Independence was once again read out to the Second Continental Congress in the hopes of being adopted. It had been decided that all 13 colonies must unanimously accept or abstain from the declaration for it to pass. A single nay vote from one colony would put the measure down. Would independency be defeated? The tension in Independence Hall was high. Would the vote end in defeat, or would we finally break from Mother England and declare ourselves free and independent states, becoming a nation at long last? My dear delegates, the choice is up to us. Hear ye, hear ye. I give to you the Declaration of Independence. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them to another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident: that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations evinces a design to reduce men under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards to secure their future. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of this present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws most wholesome and necessary to the public good. He has refused to pass other laws unless our people will relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of our people. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, and refusing to pass other laws to encourage their migrations hither. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing laws to establish judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the payment of their salaries. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has quartered large bodies of armed troops among us. He has protected those troops by mock trial from punishment for murders committed on the inhabitants of our states. He has cut off our trade with all parts of the world. He has imposed taxes on us without our consent. He has deprived us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury. He has taken away our charters, abolished our most valuable laws, and altered fundamentally the forms of our governments. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun, with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only with repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in our attentions to our British brethren. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations. But they too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must therefore, in necessity, hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the supreme judge of the world for the rectitudes of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. And that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right ought to do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. My friends, history tells us that shortly after these final words were read, all 13 colonies unanimously accepted the Declaration of Independence. But it wasn't until 2 days later that the formal text of the Declaration was officially adopted, making the 4th of July our great national birthday. Now, I believed that the 2nd of July, being the day that we accepted the Declaration, would be the day of celebration in this country. And so I wrote a letter to my wife, Abigail, a short letter describing the prediction that I had of how the 2nd of July would be celebrated for centuries to come. Philadelphia, July 3rd, 1776. My dearest friend, yesterday the greatest question was decided which was ever debated in America, and a greater perhaps never was or will be decided among men. Our resolution on independency was passed without one dissenting comment. The 2nd day of July, 1776, will be the most memorable epoch in the history of America. I am apt to believe that it will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the great anniversary festival. It ought to be commemorated as the day of deliverance by solemn acts of devotion to God Almighty. It ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with shows, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other, from this time forever. You will think me transported with enthusiasm, but I am not. I am well aware of the toil and blood and treasure that it will cost us to maintain this declaration and support and defend these states. Yet through all the gloom, I can see the rays of ravishing light and glory. I can see that the end is more than worth all the means, and that posterity will triumph in that day's transaction. So I had it off by a couple of days. But I think you'll agree, with the exception of those 2 days, my prediction was somewhat profound in the way that we would celebrate the 4th of July for centuries to come. Today, on the 250th anniversary of that marvelous day, we thank our founding fathers. We thank the generations of patriots who have fought for our country. And we thank every American that for these 2.5 centuries have truly given their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to give us a land of the free. My friends, this ends the reading of our Declaration of Independence, but I shall be happy to circulate around the room for a few minutes for those of you who would like a handshake or a photo opportunity. In the meantime, on behalf of Sign of the Beefcarver and of myself, on this 250th birthday of our great nation, I would like to wish you all a blessed, happy, and safe 4th of July. May God bless you, and may God bless America.
What's your name?
Mike.
Mike? It's a pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you.